Hey everybody, this is Samantha Harms with the Garrison Public Affairs Office. And this week on the podcast, we are talking CCRI, which stands for Command Cyber Readiness Inspection. Basically just means that we're talking about how you can keep yourself protected and what you should do in cyber world. So let's get right into it on this week's episode of the Great Big Podcast.
Hey, and welcome back to the show. This is Eric Franklin with your Garrison Public Affairs. And this week on the podcast, we're talking cybersecurity. And we have some people who know a lot more about computers and technology and just how the internet works than I do. And do you mind introducing yourself?
No, good morning. My name is Colonel Kevin McCullough, and I am the 3rd Armored Corps G6, which is the communications officer for the 3rd Armored Corps.
Ma'am?
Good morning. My name is Renata Staten, and I am the Installation Information System Security Manager for Fort Cavazos, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm Sergeant Jackson Shamar. I'm from the G2. I'm with the Intel Analyst element, or Intel Collection element. So we do intelligence here at the 3rd Armored Corps.
So before we get started, I'd just like to go, whoever we have on the show, just tell me a little bit about where you're from and how did you become to be all you can be in the Army?
I am originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I was raised in Streator, Illinois, which is a town in the middle of cornfields in northern Illinois, and have been in the Army for 24 years last month. And it has been an adventure, been all over the place as a Army officer, serving in the Signal Corps for 22 out of those 24 years. Joined the Army from a military family where my dad served for a time period, my uncle served for a time period, and was a great opportunity for our family to earn our way within America. I'm a first-generation American.
Okay.
So it was a great opportunity for us to continue to do that. I saw that opportunity and decided that was what I wanted to do as a career path. And fortunately, it's worked out for me and for my family to continue to do this for so long.
Okay. And you, Mel?
Yes, I'm originally from a very small town called Gold Hill, Oregon.
Okay.
I am one of 6. The only girl. I joined the Army when I was 18 years old, spent 5 years in the Army, and then I was a military spouse for the next 20 years.
Okay.
And I've been affiliated with the Army, I guess, 36 years in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. So for you, since you're from Oregon, I have a Green Bay joke coming. I can't think of it yet, but it's coming. So for you being from Oregon, did you get the Oregon Trail jokes growing up a lot when you came into the military?
No, what I used to get was, oh, well, where's Oregon? And I'm like, on the West Coast, right above California. No, that's Washington. I'm like, no, there's a little state in between that's called Oregon. And then you get, well, doesn't it rain there a lot? No, it does not. I'm from Southern Oregon, so, we would have summers. Average temperature in the summertime is 100 plus degrees. No air conditioning in most homes.
Yeah.
So, but it's a dry heat, so there's not a lot of humidity, so it's a lot easier to handle.
Okay. And you, Sergeant?
Yes, so I'm originally from Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay.
As you can probably tell, you can still hear the accent. Been there for about 15 years before I migrated here to the U.S. In November 2006.
Okay.
I was an adventurous kid, very outgoing prior to coming here. Still that. I think that's what drove me to join the military, because it just looked like the avenue I would want to be when it comes to just being outgoing, exploring, seeing new things, meeting new people. Especially being here in the U.S. really, really gave me the opportunity. And the military definitely added on to that. So I took the chance to sign up.
Yeah.
And never looked back since.
What is cybersecurity? What is cybersecurity? Let's start off with that.
So I'll start.
Okay.
Just from my perspective, cybersecurity just how we protect ourselves on our computer spaces.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the space that you can really see, but it's where it contains a lot of data, a lot of information, and you have to protect that information. And protecting that information requires a lot of steps and procedures and training on our part. And we're the first link to protecting that. It's going to have its own security methods, but we're that link that protects that cybersecurity. And it could contain information that could be, useful to anybody. It could be harmful. So it's something that we want to make sure we're constantly aware of. So that's my perspective of cybersecurity.
Okay. And Ms. Stat, I know that there's a campaign that's going on?
Yes, sir. It's in relation to the Command Cyber Readiness inspection that is going to take place in September.
Okay.
So this is just so that we can make the community more aware of the impact that they have on the inspection.
Okay.
And then what they can do in order to protect not just themselves here on the while they're at work, but also, some things that they probably ought to look out for at home. So
you say we have an inspection coming up. Does this have anything to do with that annual training that we have to do every year with the cybersecurity awareness training?
This inspection is DISA-driven. However, part of the requirement is that everybody take their annual cyber awareness training, and that is a piece that they will inspect to make sure that all of our users have taken that training within the last year and they are in compliance with that requirement.
And for you, sir, what is your role in all of this?
So from within the Third Armor Corps role, and that's probably the best way to phrase it, is that the Senior Mission Commander for the installation, General Bernabe, and the G6 partners with all the units on the installation for the Command Cyber Readiness Inspection, or the CCRI is what it's called. So our role here at the Corps is working with all the units and with our partners at the Fort Cavazos Standalone Network Enterprise Center to make sure that we are meeting the benchmarks that are required throughout the inspection.
Okay.
The amount of work that the local Network Enterprise Center has to do is absolutely breathtaking. And they do a lot of technical work.
Okay.
For all the men and women on the installation, there is so much work that can impact the overall CCRI that is in that. A lot of it's in that training, that annual training, where we're in the virtual room and we're looking at the virtual room and we're clicking on things saying, hey, it shouldn't look like this, or it shouldn't look like this. That's an example of what an inspector may come through your area and look and see what information do you have laying on your desk.
Okay.
That should have a cover sheet. What information should be written on that disk that's laying on your desk, or should it be in a drawer? And just creating that culture on the installation throughout all the units, both Third Armor Corps and tenant organizations, to make sure that we understand that we're protecting our own security, our traditional security in every workspace across the area, and then applying those as we leave the installation. Because what's unique now that really didn't exist 10, 15, 20 years ago is that you can go home now and have access to a lot of different things and create, and you have access on your personal devices with IPS-A. And some of the way we've done business now is teaching and practicing those tactics, techniques, and procedures as we move forward to make sure we're creating the culture. Because yes, there is a CCRI inspection that is coming up in September, but it's really about the culture to protect ourselves because we have adversaries out there. And they are definitely trying to collect on us and find and exploit anything that they can at any moment.
Okay. So, going back to you, ma'am, I know that, so you deal with the network as a whole. For me, how I see the network, this is just me. I just see it like, as long as I plug it in, or I plug it in an official computer, I'm good to go. Is that pretty much the basics of the network for you guys? I know it's not, but
no, it's not. So there's a lot of components before you can connect to the network, right?
Yeah.
So one, you have to make sure that you have the correct image on the system. We have to make sure that we're tracking that system within our Active Directory environment. Also, we have to make sure that the individual that is accessing that system has a need to know. Just because you have the CAT card, just because you're employed with that organization, does not mean that you have a need to know or you have a need to get on the network. So those are things that we vet through your S6, G6 community. And your commander that will decide whether or not you have a need to know and need to have access to the network. Part of that is taking your cyber awareness training, signing your Army IT user agreement, and then also you have to complete the DD 2875 to ensure that you meet all the other requirements as far as, a favorable background investigation. And then once that has all been vetted, then we allow you onto the network and get you your email address. We also ensure that there's a lot of soldiers out there that may be foreign nationals as well. Those individuals, again, just because they have the CAT card or they're given the Army email address when they join the military, they still have to have a waiver in place to gain access to the network. So we also ensure that those are processed as well.
So how long have you been in the Army, Sergeant Jackson?
So I've been in for 12 years.
12 years? You might be too young, but I remember a time, I know you guys do, where there was only one computer in sometimes an office, and it was, you had to type in a password. How do you think that the transition from the password to the CAT card, it's a CAC, it's not a CAT card. I'm going to get in trouble for that. But how do you think the transition from the password to just the CAC has improved overall security?
So with the CAT card, you actually it's two-factor authentication, right? You have to have something in your possession, and then you have to know something as well, right? And that would be your PIN. The other thing is it's all about non-repudiation too. So if something happens and, you're logged into that system, you can't say, that wasn't me that was logged in. Well, again, it was under your profile. In order to do that, that person had to have possession of either your CAT card or your PIN in order to complete that action on that computer. So again, that would, if you're giving somebody that information, that again is not the proper protocol either. So nobody should have access to your CAC or your PIN.
Yeah. Son Jackson, back in the day, you would have like one, we'd had fatback computers with the monitors. It's huge. You couldn't move it. If you had a laptop, if your unit had a laptop, you were special. Like now there's a computer, 4 or 5 computers per office, and there's only 2 people in there. Right. But back in the day, we would have to log in, and it was a whole ordeal. Right. Especially like if you were deployed, it's just like, oh my God, I just couldn't stand it.
So I would like to add to what Colonel McCollum said, and to what she said also with the culture. The article I was reading, culture is a big part of it.
Yeah,
culture talks about our attitude, the things that we take serious, the things that are important to us. Coming from my point, I think the common access card with the 2-factor authentication is very important, and to be honest with you, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
my attitude towards it is that yes, I think it's cool, but it lets me know that hey, we're doing the right things to protect our cyberspace. But myself as well is that important link. Am I leaving my CAT card in my computer?
Yeah.
Am I sharing my PIN with others? Who am I sharing with? Should I be sharing it? So my attitude is to take this 2-step authentication very seriously and not abuse that system, because we can compromise ourselves by being that weakling. So we have to have the right attitude to really, really, really protect the cyberspace.
So, Son Jackson, with you being the intel specialist in the room, just why is it important to safeguard your information, even the simple stuff?
So, bottom line, what we're told here in the intel field once we get started training, not to sound cliche, but it can be life and death.
Yeah.
You never know what the adversaries are thinking, what they're planning. Their intentions can change, just like our plans can change. So it's important to get after protecting ourselves in our cyberspace, so that we protect lives, not just ourselves, but the lives that we're serving, the lives that are important to this nation.
What is life? What's an honorable discharge? Sounds disgusting. Where'd my filings? Which end of the horse do I stick the carrot in?
Sporky asks a question.
I don't know. Hey, everybody. Sporky here, and I've got a big question. What is OPSEC?
Fork utensil. How is it that you don't know about operational security?
Annie Pumpkin. No need to be so formal. You can call me Sporky. All my friends do. And I know all about But what is OPSEC?
Operational security's OPSEC, fork utensil.
Ooh, maybe it's OPSEC. That's spicy. Where do babies come from?
Fork utensil.
It must have something to do with the military and things. I know. I'll take pictures of stuff all over post and put them on the internet and ask, is this OPSEC? Is this OPSEC?
Fork utensil, you better not.
It's like OPSEC.
Look, there are 5 steps to OPSEC.
Oh.
Identifying critical information, identifying the threat, assessing vulnerabilities, analyzing the risk, and developing and applying countermeasures.
What?
The OPSEC is pretty common sense, like not talking about troop movements or other sensitive things.
You mean it's a process by which organizations assess and protect information about things that could, if properly analyzed and grouped with other data by a clever adversary, reveal a bigger picture that ought to stay hidden.
That's exactly right, fork thingy.
Forky.
And like they used to say, loose lips sink ships.
Ooh, I love a good submarine joke, but seriously, where do babies come from?
Oh my goodness gracious.
Practicing good OPSEC is everybody's job. Protect your fellow service members. Don't be a sporky.
Ma'am, what would be the worst case scenario for you if the neck went down? I mean, outside of everyone not being able to check their email, what would be the worst case scenario for you guys?
So I would think that the worst case scenarios is if we have a unit that is out there, let's say, in Poland or in close to the Ukrainian border or whatever, and something happens, something devastating happens, and our network goes down, and that unit overseas cannot communicate with folks back here at 3 Corps to let them know what is going on. That could be devastating for a lot of people. Right?
Okay.
They use that tool to communicate their daily activities or their needs and requirements. They get special assignments via the network, orders, all that kind of stuff. And that plays a significant role in how they operate on a daily basis.
Okay. And sir, for you over the past, you said 24 years, correct?
Correct.
Over your past 24 years, how have you seen the Signal Corps grow and expand from 20 years ago?
Well, I think it's actually not expanded as far as the network's concerned. I think we've become more flat.
Okay.
Over the past 20 odd years. And I say that because as you mentioned, back pre-CAC days, we used to get a long password.
Yeah.
But you also, every time you PCS'd, every time you went anywhere, you were on a different network.
Yeah.
And as we move now, globally, there's ways to which you are more now on a unified network.
Okay.
You have the way to go between places on the strategic network. Our tactical networks are connected across the globe.
Okay.
Where units have the ability on the tactical network to connect. So I think we are actually much flatter now than we were in the past, and we're moving towards collapsing things even more. So that way we have the capability to project forces while staying connected.
Okay.
As really everything has an IP these days, every device, everything we connect is on the internet, whether in our personal lives or within the military domain. We do find that as a way that we do business, and I think we're going to see that in the future. And the CCRI validates a lot of those controls and procedures that are in place. So everything that we do locally here, we're working with the on a lot of the policies and the different things that get evaluated are working with the regional cyber center that's located for the continental United States, which is located at Fort Huachuca, as well as working with our cyber. So those connections that are in place allow us the flexibility to have a well-defended and available network, because that's really what it's all about, is availability.
Okay.
And what we want to protect is always making sure that our network is available for the warfighter, so that way we can accomplish our mission. And then at the same time, it's also the availability for all the installation activities that have to happen in order to run the city known as Fort Cavazos, because it really is. It has its own infrastructure, its own backbone, everything that it's doing, and it's making sure that that's enabled, and everything that the Network Enterprise Center does enables that to happen on a daily basis.
Okay. So, ma'am, we mentioned that Fort Cavazos is a small community. And for you, how big of a headache sometimes is it when people say, hey, my internet's down? Like when the internet's down for me, I think of it as a minor inconvenience. But for you at your level, is it more like, okay, well, there's a node somewhere that's down, or what's happening? What is the big picture of when the internet's down across the installation, or when there's a slowdown in the network?
So what we take a look at when that happens is who all is affected, right? And then we have to get those key elements up and running as soon as possible, like the E911 services.
Okay.
Those can be critical to the installation. So we take those pieces and we figure out, okay, who is down, what services are affected, and where it's affected. Is it something that is being affected locally, or is it something that is being affected in the enterprise? And then, of course, like I said, our first duty is to make sure that those critical services come up as soon as possible. So we start, doing the troubleshooting, and then we just build off from there. Is it a headache? No, it's what we do.
Yeah.
We are required. We provide a service to the community.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that service is sound and is available. That way we don't have mission impact or life, health, and safety impact.
Okay. And so I guess a couple more things that I have. What would be something that anyone can answer? What would be something that you would share to the soldiers, to the DA civilians, the family members, the contractors on the installation, that small bit of information that they can take home and protect themselves or protect their own network or protect their own information?
So I'll go first. I think I have a pretty decent, message. So like you said, go home. As I mentioned earlier, just have the right attitude. We have to know how important this is to us and to our team. So going back home, we all have homes, and we want to protect those homes. Now our homes are also now integrated with cyberspace because we have internet.
Yeah.
We have plenty of Bluetooth systems that connect, and we're going to try and connect and protect those systems. Why do you want to protect it? You may not have very sensitive information, but someone can use that system and take advantage of your system.
Yeah.
Spend your credit card money. Take away your personal information that you're not protected. That's not protected enough. So just think of it as, when you go home, you lock your doors. You make sure your windows are shut. If you have the attitude to protect yourself at home, then we also want to bring it to the organization that we work with and the team that we work with outside home and protect that as well.
Okay.
Because it could affect the teams that we're involved with. So that's the best way I think I could send that message is have the right attitude and just understand that we're a critical link to that team.
Okay. And for you, ma'am?
For me, I think that as technology evolves and emerges, everybody says, oh, this is the latest new thing, the latest gadget. I need to have that. I want that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, again, like he was saying, we have smart homes now.
Yeah.
But we don't take into account it's a convenience for us.
Yeah.
But what also is it exposing us to? Yeah. Right? Those devices listen to us if we don't have them locked down. They also are very easily hackable if we don't have those locked down. And then what happens to us? We have people that may be spying on our children when we leave them alone, especially if we have the children that are probably in that mid-range age that, you want to give them a little bit of trust, leave them at home for a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
But, what are we exposing them to? What dangers are we exposing them to? Because those devices can be easily hacked.
Yeah.
Your thermostat, your
sound systems, cameras.
Your sound system,
Yeah.
your security systems, your refrigerator, your stove and oven. All of those now have the capability of being connected to the internet, but they're also gateways into your home.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. So then they're opening themselves up for identity theft. They're putting their children in danger, even though it's a convenience. They don't really realize that, that could possibly put their children at danger because somebody is in there watching, and they know when the parent is not home, when that child is most vulnerable. So I think that it's important that, yes, it's a new gadget, but let's do our research and what we can do as parents, as grandparents, to ensure that we're still maintaining that safe environment for our families when we go home.
I think it's interesting you said it's convenient for us because it's also convenient for them.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is.
So if we don't protect that, we're giving up that convenience.
Yeah.
So we have to protect that.
I want to say that I try to turn off all my stuff, but I don't. Sometimes I'm pretty sure there's a rogue device on my network and I just haven't been able to find it. And yeah, it's now I'm going to have to go. Now you've made me think a little bit.
The attitude.
It's like, because when you said it, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. That is on the house. It's probably a camera. That's a rogue device that I say rogue, but it's on there and I don't have it properly named. But so for you, sir, what would be your message that you would want family members to take home?
So I think it echoes a lot of what we've heard, and I think it is within my house and the family members. What we talk about is some of the stuff that we've gone through in training.
Mm-hmm.
So talking like, hey, don't click on links if you get an email unless you know who it's from.
Yeah.
Don't enter your password into a web place that you're not sure what it is.
Yeah.
Complex passwords. Every time you set up an account, make sure you have multi-factor authentication set up on that account.
Yeah.
Coming back to your cell phone. So just trying to teach that little bit of digital hygiene to those who are growing up digital native, that this is all they know. So now it's teaching them as they go along the way. But a lot of that for many of us in uniform or Department of the Army civilians, that's something we're exposed to every year. Like it's gently reinforced to us every year through training. Sometimes it doesn't stick because it's repetitive. We do a lot of training throughout, but that culture and that digital hygiene and some of those things are things that we can bring home and have discussions about when we're driving from point A to point B and talk about that, or when you get a random email that maybe you should look at it, look at who it came from a little closer versus responding immediately to it. So I think that piece is important when you're at home talking to family members, whether your family members here that live with you, whether it's brothers, sisters, parents, aunts, uncles, some of those questions, because as the digital landscape continues to change, folks are going to get adversaries, and whether that's someone looking to conduct a ransomware attack on you personally, are going to continue to get more complex in what they do to try to trick you into divulging information that you shouldn't. And that a lot of digital hygiene that we learn in the military can be used at home. Yeah. That we learn to put in there, and then it's keeping it at our own practices here, both in traditional security about doing our own checks and making sure we're having good digital hygiene within the workplace, and then just it's creating that culture, so that way we're becoming better and reducing our overall threat exposure level by doing that.
Okay, so one person who I know listens to it, my son, I make him listen to it because we're in the car, so we'll listen to it. So could you tell him, or for anyone else out there, why you got to be careful, be leery when going on public Wi-Fi, because he loves to connect to Wi-Fi everywhere we go on his smart devices. Like, oh, they have Wi-Fi, let's connect to it. I tell him that, hey, I don't think you should do that, because we don't know if this is Chick-fil-A, the real Chick-fil-A, or if it's someone else who's just like, I'm going to pretend to be Chick-fil-A. He's like, oh, you can't do that. All right, Aiden, like I've only been around 40 years longer than you have. I don't know what I'm talking about. But why is being, like you mentioned it, sir, why is that cyber hygiene so important on little stuff like connecting to a Wi-Fi? Anyone?
So for what's the age of your son?
11.
11. So young people, they want to experience and do this. They don't. I think when they're at their age, they just don't probably understand the risk. Maybe we can just walk them through a couple of examples of folks that inadvertently expose themselves to risk. Things to look out for, or protect their devices before connecting to these open Wi-Fi sources out there. Help them protect. So I'll just say make sure his devices are protected.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be connecting to it, hopefully it's not a device that has important information that he has on there. I know he's 11. He probably doesn't have that much on there anyway, but it's the impact that can happen to him and that he can bring back home.
Yeah.
I think that's something to think about is, hey, if I connect to this, is there something attaching itself to my device that I could potentially bring back home with me?
Yeah. And that's what I tell him. Like for him, all he has is he likes to cook and he likes science projects. So that's his big thing. So I was like, yeah, someone's going to steal all your recipes and someone's going to steal all your plans for your toys. And he's like, oh, no one's going to do it. Okay, Aiden. Like I try to explain to him it can happen.
I'll also add to just, I'll say if he really likes doing that, he could do it, but learn how to protect himself.
Yeah.
When he's doing it. Because if he's not thinking about the protection piece of it and he's just doing it, then he's not going to protect himself.
Yeah.
So he can learn the steps for protection, protect himself, and still carry out that passion that he has, because now he knows he's protected.
Yeah.
So as long as he gets those steps in order, he knows, hey, I need to make sure my device is safe. I need to verify that this connection, this Wi-Fi is safe before I connect to it. And then once I go through those steps, okay, now I can trust myself and moving forward.
Okay. And last thing before we get out of here, so the CCIR, did I say it right?
Yes.
CCRI.
What did I say?
CCIR.
I was close. So with this is it, just one more time. If someone's listening to this and they might want to say, hey, well, let's check my area to make sure that we're good to go. Where could I go to find out information or on what I need to be protecting?
So at most unit levels, at the lowest level, it's going to be an effort between your local battalion or squadron, S6 and S6 and S2.
Okay.
So those teams work hand in hand, and then at the same time throughout the corps or into the divisions or with the different tenants, we are working with those organizations and with the Network Enterprise Center to go down and do courtesy inspections, our staff assistance visits. But if you want to get after it yourself and you kind of have questions about it, best place to start is with the S2 and S6.
Okay. And that's all that I have. Is there anything that you wanted to add, that anyone wanted to add before we get out of here?
I would just like to chime in on your question about the open Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Again, it's open Wi-Fi. So that means if your son can get into it, anybody can get into it, correct? Yeah. So you really don't know who is on that network with you. I recently was watching a news article, and I don't know if some people may have heard him. He's Kurt the Cyber Guy.
Yes.
He's on Fox News a lot, and he was talking about how hackers are now using those charging stations that we find in airports, that we find in clinics. You find them everywhere.
Yeah.
I was at Scott and White last week, and I seen one at Scott and White. they are using those charging stations to hack into your phones and steal your personal information.
What?
But you don't think about that. You think, oh, it's just a
free Wi-Fi, a free charger.
charging station,
Yeah.
right? But he said the best way to protect yourself against that is to actually plug into a wall jack.
Okay.
Don't use those free charging stations because the hackers are using them to hack into your phone and steal your information.
So as you look at that virtual private network,
Yeah.
if you're connecting to an open Wi-Fi, that's, having a VPN on your device helps.
Yeah.
With that, that's really, before you connect to anything, you should have that in place. And then just be cognizant. There was that article I saw, or the news story I saw about that, but it's really just be cognizant of any USB. Because you will go to locations, hotels, hotel rooms, or anything else that will have a USB, and what you don't know is what's connected to the backside of that USB.
Yeah.
So you could be plugging in your charging cable into a USB, and you don't know what's on the backside. So I'm of the same boat. Is always just plug right into an outlet, bring your own power cord, and just find an outlet and plug into it, because that's the safe bet where you're not going to worry, and that's some of that digital hygiene that we've reinforced in our home.
Okay.
Yep. Because if people are willing to do, things out there outside of cyberspace that can harm us, we gotta keep in mind that they can also harm us in the cyberspace. They don't have to touch us.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. And I'm pretty sure it was quicker than what you guys thought it was going to be, and less painful, because everyone comes on the podcast and they think, oh, it's going to be hard. Then they get here and they're like, oh, man, that's pretty easy. Yeah. What were your thoughts on the podcast real quick before we get out of here?
It was fun. I've been thinking about starting my own podcast for a while, so this is a good icebreaker for me, for sure. I had fun, yeah.
Do it. Ma'am?
I was a little nervous. I'm not a very good public speaker, but since this is kind of like more one-on-one, I think it was easier for me to speak, right, without getting too tongue-tied. But I also think that the subject is pretty interesting, and having different perspectives here. Me as a DA civilian, we have some intel, and then of course we have signal officer, the G6. I think we all kind of worked well with each other.
Yeah. And for you, sir?
Oh, no, they're great. I think they help potentially get the conversation out there to a larger audience.
Yeah.
Depending on who clicks on it, who listens to it,
yeah,
and where it goes from there.
Again, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, not going to be online for a while. Got a big mission to kill some terrorists in Terra Islamabad tomorrow, so don't worry about me.
An ambush today left 15 soldiers dead outside of Terra Islamabad. Will your next Facebook post or tweet kill you or your friends? The terrorists are waiting for you to give them the information they need to kill Americans and the American dream. When you share sensitive information on social networking sites, you might as well join the terrorists. Don't be a terrorist. Remember OPSEC.
This message brought to you by the Don't Help Terrorists Murder the American Dream Coalition.
I learn a lot every time we have people come in, and I know we have that inspection coming up here in the, I think it's the late fall, but I am not looking forward. I'm looking forward to it because I want to make sure that I get everything right and make sure that our office is right, and I hope everybody else out there listening is going to be right. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an important topic to talk about, just as cyber becomes more entrenched in our daily lives. Yeah. Both here at the office and here at work, like in your personal life as well. So
yeah,
definitely an important topic to highlight and to keep reminding people of, think about what you're posting online and think about carrying your ID with you everywhere you go, and not letting it walk away from you, and all those good tips and tricks.
And just so everyone knows, I said cat card.
Yeah, it's just
before I get the bad emails. Just know I know it's just CAC.
Yes.
I know. I'm sorry.
CARD is part of the acronym.
I know.
And nobody seems to realize that.
Yeah.
You're saying a common access card when you say CAC card.
A
you
CAC
really
card.
don't need it.
But I think that's just one of those things that is just ingrained in people, and it's just a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I still see signs all over 3-Core that says that. So
yeah, our office says CAC card. Take your CAC card with you.
But we scratched it out.
No, it's just CAC.
Yeah.
I love to correct people on that.
Speaking of hot topics,
Ooh.
what's going on in the news?
Yeah, so in the news this week, the Cavalry Family Housing, which is formerly Fort Hood Family Housing,
Okay.
is hosting a community cleanup tomorrow, Friday, starting at 8 a.m. in the housing areas. So if you live on the installation or in one of the non-contiguous housing areas. Yeah, there we go.
That's a good word.
That is a good word. And you want to participate in helping clean up some trash just from like the streets, common areas, make sure we're keeping and taking care of our communities. Feel free to do so. For more information, you can contact your community office. And then for upcoming things to do this Saturday, Belora, which is Belton Lake Outdoor Recreation Area, along with Fort Cavazos' Directorate of Family and Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, is going to be hosting a movie night at Belora. Very exciting.
Oh.
So they're going to do 3 this summer. It's going to be this Saturday and then July 8th and August 12th.
Okay.
Attendees are welcome to bring their own lawn chairs, blankets, their own snacks. We're
That's
out there
very
having
cool.
a good time. I believe they've already posted the movies on their Facebook page or their website. So if you want information on that, check that out. Their website is cavazos.armymwr.com. Entry is $15 per vehicle to get into Belora.
That's not bad. That's cheaper than going to the movies.
Yes, it is, especially if you pile in some people.
Yeah.
Fill every seat in your vehicle.
Yeah.
You're getting a really good deal on a movie.
A steal of a deal.
And you can bring all your own popcorn
Yeah.
and snacks and stuff.
And drinks and whatever else you want to drink.
So you're making even a better deal right there, because when you go to the movies, it's like $50 just
At
for
least.
tickets and then $100 for food and stuff. So you're just spending so much money
so much
at movie theaters.
It's a date. That's not even before. That was just like an extra on the date. Now that's the date.
That's all you get. You're getting popcorn. That's your dinner.
That's your dinner. Popcorn. Oh, you want a drink?
No. We can split a drink though.
We can split a drink.
That's
get
it.
2 straws.
Yeah, 2 straws. No refills, because you have to pay for those refills.
Yeah.
Heck no.
What else do we have coming up over the next couple of weeks? Isn't something fun's coming up?
So we got a couple of things coming up over the next couple of weeks. First, important to know though, is the outdoor pools on the installation are open. So we talked previously about Comanche Pool being open.
Okay.
Patton Pool is now open as well.
Oh man.
So Comanche is open Wednesdays through Sundays, noon to 7 p.m. And then the Patton Pool is open also from noon to 7 p.m. Only on Saturdays and Sundays, though.
Okay.
So if you want information on extra days that they might be closed or pricing, you can also check that out on MWR's website, cavazos.armymwr.com. And then, of course, you brought it up already a little bit. On June 23rd is Fort Cavazos' Freedom Fest.
Oh man, I cannot wait.
We're so close. I want to tell everybody who our entertainers are
I do
so
too.
badly.
Oh, I do.
We can't yet.
We can't.
We're so close though. They're
So
really
close.
good though.
They're so close.
So we're almost there.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Hopefully in the next couple of days you will hear it.
Yes. If not by next week. I am praying we'll be saying it come next week.
Because if it's not by next week, then
It's going to be a surprise for everybody.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That would actually be kind of fun though.
Yeah. They're like,
Think
who's
about
gonna be
who
here?
the last person is. I feel like people would be shocked.
Yes.
If they showed up and had literally no idea.
Yes, I think they would. They'd be like, what?
And they'd be like, you're kidding me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know that would be my reaction.
Yes.
So.
When I heard it, that's what my action was.
Yeah.
Like, what? So.
Yes. So, okay. So that is June 23rd. It's a Friday. It's going to be from 4 to 10 p.m. at the Phantom Warrior Stadium. And it's open to the public. It's free.
Free.
So there should be a lot of good things to do there. Lots of fun things, lots of entertainment happening. I know I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it for the show. We like to thank you guys for listening. And again, make sure you continue to like, follow, and share us with your friends.
Always, always, always. Yeah, thanks for listening. We will talk to you guys later.
Bye. This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Cavazos and Fort Cavazos Public Affairs production. Have a question or want to share some of your wisdom with us? Drop us an email at fortcavazos@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fort Cavazos Army. And as always, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.